We understand our elected officials do not have a vote in this project, but we've asked them to be our voice. Our first speaker requested the government accountability of potential risk to taxpayers, and in his letter to the Comptroller General in the U.S., he describes the service as financially risky and potentially disruptive project. Let me introduce one of the very first and one of the loudest voices in Florida and Washington, D.C. Please help me welcome our District 18 House of Representatives, Congressman Patrick Murphy. Murphy, I have to give you a Florida medal. I'd also like to give you one to hand to Mr. Michael Kenny. I have to give a shout out to him. He is, I call him Congressman Murphy's #1 man. That's what I call him. He has been along with us all the time with the rivers and the train and very accessible with Congressman's office. So that's for Michael, if you would.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Casey on all her hard work. Before I forget, too, I want to be sure to thank the band, the Whistling Moon Travelers. They sound great here. Great remix. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here on such a beautiful day. It's important that we have this kind of turnout, but the truth is we've got to grow this. KC and Florida Not All Aboard have done a spectacular job. You know, signatures now over 32,000 signatures. It is critical, though, that we grow that. The bigger that list gets, the more powerful my message is when I go to Washington, D.C. to fight against this. So we've got to keep working with Florida Not All Aboard. We've got to keep making neighbors, that our coworkers, that our family even know about this, because we have an opportunity here to stop this if the community gets involved and stays united. Casey's been the leader at this for months now. Any questions you have, please go to her. Please stay active. Please get involved in all of these sorts of activities. When I go to Washington, D.C. and I sit down with the Secretary of Transportation and I tell him, hey, we've got a real problem here in the Treasure Coast and in Palm Beach. And I go to him and I have a list of, say, 5 signatures. What do you think he's going to say? First, I go to him and I say, I have 32,000 signatures here with some people with some very, very serious concerns. Obviously, that speaks a lot louder. So please help me against this in Washington, D.C. by getting more involved, by getting more people active. You know, we've all got the same concerns, whether that's the safety, whether that's the quality of life, the maritime, the fiscal aspects. There are some serious concerns with this. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at Jupiter Medical Center. Had an opportunity to manager of the emergency room, the CEO of the hospital. You know, God forbid any of us are ever in the back of an ambulance. But we know exactly where that hospital is, right next to the train tracks. And that's the only hospital. But you know, God forbid it's one of us or one of our loved ones trying to get to that emergency room. And a matter of seconds can mean the difference between life or death. We can't be stuck behind a freight train. And that, to me, is really where this project is all about. It's not about the passenger train. You know, it's about the freight and it's about the real estate. So we're going to keep raising these at the federal level. Casey mentioned a letter, and I've been working with Bill Posey, he's a Republican just north of us, urging the GAO, that's the Government Accountability Office, to do an independent financial feasibility study on this project. Because as Casey said, there's not a single passenger train in this country that makes money on its own, right? They're all subsidized by a government entity or another business entity. No reason to think this one's going to be any different. So we've asked that Government Accountability Office to do that independent study. We've also asked and demanded that the Coast Guard come to our community to do a series of hearings. It's critical that you all get involved and come to these hearings. There's so many community leaders, so many of you have been so active on so many different issues. Alishay's here. He's been one of those leaders, and so many other folks, you know, standing with us, fighting against this. But it's important that we get more people involved. And when the Coast Guard comes to do these series of hearings, better. But what's really important is that we have substantive comments. That you gather all of your neighbors' thoughts, your concerns, whether you have a friend that owns a marina, whether you own a house just west of the bridge, or whether you know a commercial fisherman that could perhaps talk to you about how their business will be affected by the bridge being closed 30 to 45 minutes of every hour. We got to group all those stories very specifically to the Coast Guard so they can extrapolate and make a real analysis of what this project is going to do to our maritime industry. So we're going to have them in those dates. And I'm going to continue working with the Secretary of Transportation to make sure he knows all of our concerns, to make sure that he knows the safety concerns, the quality of life, the traffic. All of those issues are going to continue to be raised at the highest levels. What I'm going to touch on is the financial aspect of this. There has been a recent shift in strategy for All Aboard Florida and how they're going to get their financing. But regardless of what the financing structure is, that does not mitigate against the problems train pose to our community. So we're going to keep against this in every which way, but we have no concerns to the quality of life, no matter how this thing's financed. So stay active, stay involved, continue to get your neighbors, your friends, family. That's what gives people like myself, Congressman Bill Posey, all of your community leaders that are about to come talk at the local, state, and federal level, that ammunition to fight against this. So thank you for being here on such a beautiful day. Thank you to Casey, and let's fight.